Welcome to this orientation on the free application for federal student aid, or FAFSA, and how the paper form is laid out or organized. The first working subtitle for this orientation was, "What could be more exciting than filling out a government form?"
Woohoo!
The second working subtitle was the motto of the National Enquirer newspaper, "Inquiring minds want to know." But the best subtitle for what we're discussing about the FAFSA form is that flow could be so relaxing. Go with the FAFSA Flow. The sequence of this presentation is as shown. Let's start with the introduction. This presentation is part of a series on funding higher education provided by United Way of the Quad Cities area. I'm John Cook, a volunteer and FAFSA Navigator. I'm going to keep this presentation moving along. Please feel free at any time to pause or replay the video in order to review the sections that catch your interest. There are three purposes for this orientation. The first is to make the FAFSA process less scary. The more familiar you are with filling out the form, the better experience you may have. The second purpose is to get you started with the first navigator's question: where are you going? And the last purpose is to get you planning and organizing by asking the third navigator question: how are you going to get there? Now let's do a brief FAFSA form overview. Where are we going? A few notes to get us oriented. A FAFSA form is focused on a school year, or SY, and this orientation is using the form for 2018 and 2019. We will be viewing the paper form. The questions, steps, and numbers parallel the online form. We may expect a new school year's form on or about October 1st of each year from the U.S. Department of Education. There are 10 pages, but don't panic. The first 2 pages are an introduction and welcome, plus some initial instructions on deadlines and coaching tips. Like bookends, the last 2 pages, numbers 9 and 10, are more instructions for answering key questions. So 4 of the 10 pages are instructions. Must be a government form. Another analogy is this is like a sandwich, and we have bread slices. Now let's describe the fixings which go in the middle. The form focuses on the student. Pages 3, 4, 5, and 8 are for the student to fill out, and they are color-coded in light blue or aquamarine. If it is determined that the student is a dependent of parents or guardians, then the parents or guardians have pages 6 and 7 to fill out, and they are color-coded in purple. That was easy. There is the 6 pages of forms to be filled out, 4 for sure by the student, and 2 for the parents or guardians if needed. Now that we're getting acclimated to the flow of the FAFSA, let's dive a little deeper into the potential 6 pages to be filled out. If you're going to eat a pie, you're going to eat it a bite at a time. Pies come in slices. Our pie has 7 slices or steps.
Pie.
Okay, the 7 slices or steps. Step 1 is all of page 3 and the top of page 4. It asks about the student's identifying information, contact information, characteristics, high school, and the focus level of trade school or college. And if the student is interested in work-study programs. Step 2 is the lower part of page 4 and the top of page 5. It asks about the student's personal finances, taxable income and assets, and the student's untaxable income and assistance. A feature of the online form is that you may automatically transfer the previous year's tax filing information directly into the online FAFSA form. Step 3 is the lower part of page 5. There are 13 questions to determine the dependency status of the student. If the student answers no to all of the 13 questions, then they are considered dependent on parents or guardians. The parents or guardians are to fill out step 4 on pages 6 and 7, the purple part of the form, with their identifying information, contact information, plus their personal finances, taxable income and assets, and their untaxable income and assistance. A feature of the online form, again, is that they may also automatically transfer the previous year's tax information directly into the online FAFSA form. If the student answered any of the Step 3 dependency status questions as yes, then they are considered independent, and the student skips Step 4 and proceeds to Step 5 on the top of page 8 and answers more questions on their household and personal situation. Continuing on in the middle of page 8 is Step 6 on the student's target schools. At the bottom of page 8 is Step 7 for the signature of the student and the parents or guardians if their information is included in the application at Step 4. That's the overview of the 7 slices or steps. Just to be more familiar, let's review them again in just a little more detail. Come on and say the descriptions along with me so that you become even more familiar with the flow of the FAFSA form. Step 1 is on pages 3 and 4 and cover the student's identifying information, characteristics and background, their high school information, plus the future college or school level, and seeking which degree or certificate. Plus, would the student be interested in work-study opportunities? Great, let's keep going. Step 1 down and 6 more steps to go. Step 2 on pages 4 and 5 covers the students and spouses, if applicable, personal finances, plus taxed and untaxed income and assistance. Good job. Let's keep going. 2 steps down and 5 steps to go. Step 3 on the bottom of page 5 is to determine the student's dependency status. Answer yes to any of the 13 questions and you may be considered an independent student, and you skip Step 4 and proceed on to Step 5. Answer no to all 13 questions and you are determined to be a dependent student of a parent or guardian and are invited and enabled to proceed to Step 4. Step 4 on pages 6 and 7 in purple cover the parents or guardians' identifying information, personal finances, taxed income and assets, and untaxed income and assistance. 4 steps down and only 3 more steps to go. Step 5 on the top of page 8 is focused on gathering more information for an independent student. If the student is dependent, then this Step 5 is skipped. Step 5 asks questions such as size of the household, how many people will be college students, and if any household member received special assistance or was a displaced worker. 5 steps down and only 2 more to go. Are we there yet? Step 6 in the middle of page 8 is a great set of planning questions on where are we going? What are the focus colleges or trade schools? And What will be the students' living arrangements? On campus, with parents, or off campus? The paper form provides for up to 4 schools, but the online form will take up to 10 schools. Almost done. Ta-da! The last step, number 7, on the bottom of page 8, which is simply the date and signature of the student, plus the parents or guardians if applicable. The form is done and ready to be submitted to the Department of Education. Easy as pie. Now that we're familiar with the FAFSA form, congratulations, let's make some connections or correlations between the parts. Remember, the FAFSA form is to apply for federal need-based financial assistance. So the question being asked is there a financial need to get someone into school? To begin to answer the question, have you ever played the drawing game of connect the dots? You know, you connect the dots, 1 goes to 2, goes to 3, and so on, until you get a line drawing picture. Well, we need to connect the dots, or FAFSA steps. We start with the first dot, step 6, in the middle of page 8. The target schools and their living arrangements in order to get a ballpark estimate of the cost of schooling, and then to establish an annual requirement for each school. You'll be filling out in step 6 on the schools their associated Department of Education code numbers and your living arrangements on campus, with parents, or off campus. What's the requirement? The follow-on dots are primarily in step 2 on pages 3 and 4, and if the student is independent, then also from step 5 on page 8. This information establishes the independent student's capabilities in paying some or all of the school expenses by looking at taxable income, assets, and untaxed income and assistance, plus the living arrangements of the student and any dependents. If the student is determined to be dependent, then the parents' or guardian's capabilities to pay for some or all of the student expenses is added in. This is called the Expected Family Contribution, or EFC. In just a moment, I'll tell you where you can find out more on the EFC formula. So what the Federal Department of Education, along with the state and schools, are trying to figure out is, 1, what would each target school cost? 2, what are the students and or families' capabilities in paying for the required costs? 3, leading to a determination, is there a financial need to be met? And if there is to be a financial need, then how much can be provided in grants, loans, and work-study opportunities? Please help them connect the dots. Thank you for hanging in there. You've come a long way in understanding the FAFSA form and its steps and questions and how they are connected. There is lots of help available. Let's see what help is available from the U.S. Department of Education at its websites, and then from your schools and the United Way of the Quad Cities area FAFSA Navigator program. First, you have the instructions that come with the paper form, pages 1, 2, 9, and 10. Second, in the online application, you are provided guides showing you where you are in the online form, and on the right are the online instructions and tips for each question. And there is a help button on each page of the online form. Now here we are at the FAFSA Online main page. It is like an iceberg. We're just looking at the upper tip when we first arrive. We are invited to scroll down below the main login into the lower middle and locate the Get a PDF File and Make a Paper Copy button. Plus, there are other helpful sections in this middle of the web page. But wait, there's more at the FAFSA main website. Again, we're invited to scroll way down below the main login portion at the bottom for 3 great FAFSA support tools. At the very bottom is a direct link or jump to the FAFSA Forecaster, the Federal Student Aid Estimation tool. You may use the FAFSA Forecaster to practice your answers, test fire the FAFSA, and run various test runs on school and aid estimates. Also at the bottom section on this main page is the direct link to the College Scorecard, which can assist you search for schools and provide a simple cost estimate for each school. That should help you do your initial planning. And there's even more. In the middle is the web link or jump to the Federal Student Aid website, which is where the Department of Education puts even more guidance, coaching, tips, and assistance. These 3 are located way under the FAFSA login at the bottom of the main FAFSA website. Did you know there are actually 3 major websites to support your FAFSA application process? These are the 3 major websites provided by the Department of Education to be used as a mutually supporting set during your FAFSA application process. The FAFSA itself is in the lower right, and getting the needed access at FSA ID on the lower left. We're going to get more assistance now at Student Aid at the top. The Department of Education's website, studentaid.ed.gov, has 2 sections for your use. The first is in the More Info section in the middle right of the home page. Let's blow up the More Info list and look at its interesting topics. Of most interest to us now are the resources. The second is the 4th main topic on the home page. How do I apply for aid? These are the 2 sections we'll be using for our research and use at studentaid.ed.gov. Let's explore what we have available to us, starting first with resources and then looking at applying for aid. At the large resources page, we find the section on FAFSA Information. As we scroll down the large list of resources, we can find assistance such as booklets and brochures, where we may download the 68-page instruction booklet on filling out the FAFSA. This is also where you may find for downloading the 36-page booklet on expected family contribution formula, which was mentioned earlier. You may download FAFSA on the web preparation worksheets and PDF files to make paper copies of the FAFSA form itself. In the resource list, you'll also find images of checklists, posters, and handouts, videos, web pages and tools, plus fact sheets. Now let's look at the home page of Student Aid. The 4th main option is How do I apply for aid? Once you click on this option, you get a long set of guidance, tips, explanations, and other resources, all to assist you fill out the FAFSA. Ta-da! Your United Way of the Quad Cities area volunteer FAFSA navigators hope to support schools and organizations' college night sessions. You can gain even more insights by going to YouTube and in the search function type in FAFSA Navigator Presentation. This one sample presentation on financing your higher education used the whole hand approach, providing techniques on seeking and applying for both need-based and merit-based financing. The FAFSA focuses on need-based assistance, which is a great place to start, but don't stop. Keep seeking merit-based assistance. Another sample YouTube lesson is the FAFSA Navigator presentation, which is on the useful research and planning tool in order to explore various costs and methods for financing someone's continuing education. And this again is called the FAFSA Forecaster, also mentioned earlier at the very bottom of the main FAFSA webpage. Time to bring this orientation to a close with this bit of advice.
Use the Force, Luke.
We meant use the flow, Luke. There, isn't that soothing? The FAFSA Flow. And now you know it. Displayed here are the references and referrals used in this presentation. Displayed here are some notes for you to read, plus my email address if you have questions or have a suggestion to improve this presentation. Thank you for your time and kind attention. As a United Way FAFSA Navigator, it has been my pleasure to provide to you this FAFSA Flow orientation.